So check it out. This is my latest arrival from eBay. It's the Marx 1666, the gray version with a sound of power tender. And I got it for 40 bucks, which I thought was a really good deal. You're always taking a chance when the seller says they don't know whether the board works or not. But that's not always a bad thing. That means they haven't put power to it, which is usually a good thing, because usually the foam boards in them have disintegrated and you don't want to short out the board. But anyway, I'm going to show you some of the things that I do to get them running really good. So stay tuned. Here we go. Okay, so start with the locomotive. And the first thing is make sure that there's nothing binding or frozen, that the wheels will turn, and that the motor isn't frozen inside there. And it's a good time also to check the brushes and the brush plate to make sure they're in okay shape. If they are, then you can just lubricate and clean things and polish things. And I use this polishing bit with my Dremel, and I'll polish the wheels, I'll polish the pickup shoes. And then for lubrication, I use a LaBelle's 107. I don't need anything heavier. It's cool in my basement, so I try not to use anything heavier on my locomotives. And then you just, all the points where the bushings are for the drive wheels, you can get right around, because it has that thin applicator. You can get right around to them for the front and the back. And then you also want to just lubricate the bushings where the armature comes through on both sides, on the geared side as well as the brush plate side. And what's nice also about the thin applicator is you can get it right in behind these intermediate gears to make sure that they get lubricated as well. And then once you got everything lubricated, you can check to make sure that it smokes okay. You can also make sure the headlight works. That's not too hard to fix. It's just a matter of making sure that that gets a good ground. It sits against the smoke unit, and that's where it gets the ground power from, and then gets the power from the center rail on the reverse unit. There's a lug for that. So now we'll move on to the tender. Okay, so for the tender, this is what I wanted to make the video for, was to share some of the new improvements that I've made. And first thing, again, that you always want to do with these tenders, you take them apart, remove the old foam. It's disintegrated anyway. I haven't found one yet that wasn't. And then you make yourself a new one. I buy this from Hobby Lobby. It's just foam board. Just cut it big enough to fit in the tender like that, and you're ready to go. And the next thing I do is all the rivets, the ones that hold the trucks on, and of course the two that hold the actuator on, I polish, because especially here, that is a electronic point. That's where this soundboard gets power. It's from the frame. What I did differently this time though was I ran a nut and a bolt, a brass nut and bolt, from this hole in the truck, which would normally hold the tilt coupler, but on the front it has a tab and slot, so it doesn't use it. So it makes a great place to anchor a ground wire. Then I ran that ground wire up again to this point where the soundboard gets ground, and just put a little screw in there in case I ever wanted to take it out and put it back to original or whatever. Don't solder to these, because again, they're plastic underneath. This actuator has got a plastic frame, so you don't want to do anything to harm that. That's kind of the life, kind of the heart of this thing. And so once I did that, then again I polished the axles, the wheels, the actuator wheel. And the very last thing that I do is I take a drop of railzip, and on the actuator wheel, the little axle that holds that on, I put a drop on either side of it. And that will help give better conductivity to this piece of this metal plate that the actuator wheel touches, and that's where you get center rail pickup from. And then, once again, this is a proper way to put the board in. It goes so the components, are facing you, and then you just put your board in, or your piece of foam in there, and put it back together, and you're ready to chug again. Okay, so now we're going to test our improvements without any load on it at all. We've got the locomotive lubricated, we've got the sound of power tender, we've got that all maintenanced, and we added the new ground wire. And so we're going to see what a difference it makes, and we can also test the reverse unit to see how well that operates. So here we go. Okay. Even in reverse, there's no skipping. And it looks like the smoke unit works really well. log load. That smoke unit works really well. You can see the smoke coming out of this thing. Amazing how well Marx smoke units work. And we'll pick the camera up. We're kind of following around a little bit. Set it back down. All right, so I really like the improvements. I like how much better the sound of power tender works, and it always amazes me how loud they are anyway. And this one's another good one. And if I want to, maybe I'll touch up the white stripe with a Sharpie paint pen or something, or maybe just leave it as it is. It's not a bad looking locomotive. The only damage is a little bit of, these are broken off, the guides that hold the railing here. But that's an easy fix too. So anyway, thanks again for watching. God bless. I hope these tips helped. And remember, Jesus is Lord.